Welcome to the Coaching Healthy Minds podcast with Sari Taylor. All things well-being, simplifying and creating a much calmer and more content future without having to try so hard at everything. This first podcast is really kind of an introduction to who I am, how I ended up here, and what I suppose I have in store for you really over the next series of podcasts. I am Sari Taylor and I am a therapist. I'm a psychotherapist and have predominantly worked historically in transactional analysis psychotherapy, which I'm sure if you listen to the podcast you will hear a bit more about. But I also now use hypnotherapy, NLP, and I work mainly now as a coach with people who are really looking for fast, quite directive change of things that maybe they've felt stuck in for such a long time, and they really want to try something different and they really want to get the change fast. Now, I myself have been on quite a journey in terms of my own well-being and have suffered historically with really acute severe episodes of anxiety, which is actually what initially got me training as a therapist. And I suppose where I've come to now, many years on, working with many clients, trained in different modalities, found kind of, I've probably read every self-help book that there is out there, some of which I've loved, some of which I've not found that great. But I think that's really down to the individual person and what it is really that you want to change, whether it be in relationships, whether it be anxiety, whether it be, you feel like you are sabotaging yourself in some way, whatever it is, whatever change we want. What I've started to really realise more recently, as I've started to write a book actually specifically on anxiety, which changed so many times throughout the process of me writing it, and it still isn't finished because it's still kind of just coming to the end of that now, and I'm not sure exactly how it's going to end. But basically, the main thing that's come out of this for me, and the thing that I have realised after many years, is that we really all overcomplicate our well-being. We try so hard at fixing ourselves, changing things. If I could just change this, everything would be all right. If I could just change job, I'm sure it'd be fine. If I ended this relationship, if I found a boyfriend, if I found a partner, the list is endless of the amounts of things that we believe that if we change things in our environment, if we change things in our life, the practical side of things, suddenly we'll feel fantastic. And actually what people might find is that they make them changes and they may feel better for it. Absolutely, if something in our environment is affecting us and we change that, that's great. But it might be that the feeling of contentness and well-being doesn't last, because it then might be replaced by something else that we feel that we need to change. And so what I've come to realise is that we massively overcomplicate it, and we forget that actually we have the capacity to feel good without all of those things. And particularly as I myself suffered with anxiety, one of the things I've realised is how much I've driven the anxiety through the way that I think. And this is something I'll cover on various different podcasts. There's a lot of information to share around this. Or for anybody that's in any kind of habits or situations or things that they feel stuck in, the principles really that I'll be looking at, the things that I'll be talking about, all cover the same thing in a sense. And so really, having tried to fix myself, fix others, help others fix themselves, I've really have come to realise that by overcomplicating it, we can feed it and it can continue. And there's a huge part of us in some ways when we stay stuck. There's often a reason why we stay stuck. Maybe we're not quite sure what the other side's going to look like. Maybe we're not sure what actually it is that we want. So it can kind of sometimes come down to a real lack of trust in our own well-being. And we're always looking for the next thing that might fix it. So that's really the kind of thing that I'll be covering in the podcasts. And really, we'll be looking at the idea that any situation that we're in, we can make it okay by believing that we are okay. So we can understand that actually our experience of what goes on around us in the world, in our families, in our homes, wherever it is is tarnished or not with the way that we think about the situation. So, say for example, with anxiety, we can try really hard to get rid of it because it doesn't feel nice and we hate it and it has to go and it's horrible and it makes me feel like this, etc. It stops me doing this, it stops me doing that. But all the while that we're kind of beating ourselves up for this thing that we need to run away from, we're feeding it, we're giving it airtime, we're making it something that becomes really important. I worked with a coach called Vinnie Shawman. He's a great bloke, if anybody wants to look him up. And he made me laugh because he said to me once that when I talk about my anxiety, I give it so much power and so much authority. Even historical anxiety that I talk about in the past still could give it so much authority. It's the point where, I won't swear on here, but he said to me, has your anxiety got its own room in your effing house because it needs one? And it made me smile because actually, yeah, it may as well have had its own room. It was so important. It was, kind of the thing that led a lot of things, the thing that kind of was blamed for a lot of things, the thing that was always kind of the go-to of, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that because of this. And actually it's realising that it's us that gives it the power. And how does it give it the power? Because actually you may be listening to this thinking, well, she can't have had anxiety as bad as me then because, when I feel like I can't get out of bed or I can't leave the house or I can't do this, I can't do that. She clearly wasn't feeling like that to be able to look at it differently now. I think, well, actually, that was how I felt. It felt like it happened to me. It felt like there was nothing I could do about it. But I now realise that I was doing a lot about it. In fact, what I was doing a lot of was a lot of thinking about it, how I could change it, how I could fix it. And when it wasn't there, because I wasn't somebody that suffered with anxiety constantly, it came and went in quite acute episodes. But even when it wasn't there, I'd say that the thinking was still subconsciously there underlying that what if it came back? What if it came again? So even when it wasn't there, it still got its own bedroom in my house because it was kind of as if it was a part of me, a part of the family, a part of me that was broken and will always be broken and could break at any time. And actually that's not just not true. That is the way that I thought about it. So what I've come to realise in all of this, and as I say, in any area of our life, any change that we want, is that by overcomplicating it, what I'm saying is really that we overthink it. We can overthink these things. And we put so much energy and time into them that no wonder they get bigger and they grow. And we think we're doing the right thing. We think that we're really trying so hard to fix it. But actually there is such a thing of us trying a bit too hard when it becomes irrational, when it becomes kind of the thing that we have to do all the time. And actually anxiety does feel very irrational in its very nature. But it's all in the way that we think. And we think about it. Things might not go to plan. We've tried really hard. It still comes back. Then we beat ourselves up. I must have done something wrong. I haven't tried hard enough. I haven't done a good enough job. And the cycle then just continues. What actually if you were okay? What if you weren't defined by whatever it is that you're stuck with? Your relationship, your job, your anxiety. What if actually that wasn't the definition of you? But actually that through thinking and your perception of how you think about it, it becomes you. You make it a part of you. And that's not kind of thinking, oh, well, I'm doing this to myself, so it's all my fault. Because actually the reason we do these things often is so that we can feel safe. And subconsciously, often, our mind's telling us, oh, well, that's what you need to do. You need to hide away in your bedroom today because that's the only way you're going to be safe. And the intention's there. It's great. It's really great that your mind's wanting to keep you safe. but it's doing it in a way that's not healthy and isn't serving you to kind of go out and live your life how you want to live it. So there's no sense in beating yourself up for having done certain things in certain ways, because actually my guess is that at the time you did the best that you could do, given the information that you had. And a lot of the information that you had was clouded or mixed up with loads of overthinking, loads of negative thinking about what you should be doing and what you shouldn't be doing. So you only had limited information because it was clouded with really, really negative thoughts. So really what I'm wanting to kind of say in this introduction, and it's only a short introduction, is my guess is whatever it is that's going on for you, is that somehow you're overcomplicating it. And what I want to do is help you simplify it, help you realise that the change in some ways is in the simplicity of everything and you not trying so hard. Believe you me, I've tried everything, absolutely everything. And I get the most contentment and feel the most relaxed when I'm not trying. So I want to leave that there with you. Please feel free to pop back and listen to the podcasts that I will be now submitting weekly. And if you have a topic that you want me to cover, then get in touch. You can contact me via my website, www.saritaylor.com, or on Facebook at Coaching Healthy Mind with Sari Taylor. And let me know what you want to hear more of. And if you want to find out of any other ways that I can help you, again, go on my website or join me on Facebook, and I'm sure I'll be able to help you. Thank you for listening, and I hopefully will catch up with you soon.